We now continue into 1 Corinthians chapter 1, where Sha'ul tears down fleshly boasting and recenters the called assembly on the crucified Messiah as the wisdom and power of God. This chapter does contain explicit Tanakh groundings, Isaiah 29 verse 14 and Jeremiah 9 verse 23. These references support the burden of the chapter with covenant sharpness. Isaiah 29 verse 14 declares that Yehovah Himself will bring human wisdom to ruin when it stands against His revealed order. Jeremiah 9 verse 23 cuts off boasting and wisdom, strength, and status. Together they form the backbone of Sha'ul's rebuke. The cross does not flatter man. It empties him, judges him, and leaves boasting in Yehovah alone. Division to boasting, to calling, to cross, to folly, to wisdom, to Messiah. The cross humiliates man's wisdom and exalts Yehovah's call. Yehovah, strip us of empty boasting. Teach us to tremble before the word of the cross. Make us glad to be made small, so Messiah is seen as great. Yehovah El Deot. Yehovah, God of knowledge, who weighs human pride and overturns false wisdom before him. Yehovah El Deot. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Holy, holy, holy. Please fill me and lead me and cover me and stir me and speak through me with your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, your set-apart breath, that I may speak your written words with boldness and humility to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, the Messiah, the Anointed, the Aleph Natav's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity, echad, with Himself, and you shall act upon your love, ahava. To Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, nail, behold. 1 Corinthians chapter 1. The first letter from Yeshua's emissary Sha'ul to the Messianic community in Corinth. From Sha'ul, called by God's will to be an emissary of the Messiah Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, from brothers Sosthenes. 2. God's Messianic community in Corinth, consisting of those who have been set apart by Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, the Messiah, and called to be God's holy people, along with everyone who calls on the name of our Master, Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, Messiah, their Master as well as ours. Grace to you and shalom from God our Father and the Master, Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, the Messiah. I thank my God always for you because of God's love and kindness given to you through the Messiah, Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, in that you have been enriched by Him in so many ways, particularly in power of speech and depth of knowledge. Indeed, the testimony about the Messiah has become firmly established in you, so that you are not lacking any spiritual gift and are eagerly awaiting the revealing of our Master Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, the Messiah. He will enable you to hold out until the end and thus be blameless on the day of our Master, Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, the Messiah. God is trustworthy. It is He who called you into fellowship with His Son, Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, the Messiah, our Master. Nevertheless, brothers, I call on you in the name of our Master, Yeshua, the Aleph Natav, the Messiah, to agree, all of you, in what you say, and not to let yourselves remain split into fractions, but be restored to having a common mind and a common purpose. For some of Chloe's people have made it known to me, my brothers, that there are quarrels among you. I say this because one of you says, I follow Sha'ul. Another says, I follow Apollos. Another, I follow Kepha. While still others say, I follow the Messiah. Has the Messiah been split in pieces? Was it Sha'ul who was put to death on a stake, the cross, for you? Were you immersed into the name of Sha'ul? I thank God that I didn't immerse any of you except Cyprus and Gaius. Otherwise, someone might say that you were indeed immersed into my name. Oh yes, I did also immerse Stephanas and his household. Beyond that, I can't remember whether I immersed anyone else. For the Messiah did not send me to immerse, but to proclaim the good news, and to do it without relying on wisdom that consists of mere rhetoric, so as not to rob the Messiah's execution stake, cross, of its power. For the message about the execution stake, the cross, is nonsense to those in the process of being destroyed, but it is to us in the process of being made saved. It is the power of God. Indeed, the Tanakh says, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and frustrate the intelligence of the intelligent. Where does that leave the philosopher, the Torah teacher, or any of today's thinkers? Hasn't God made this world's wisdom look pretty foolish? For God's wisdom ordained that the world, using its own wisdom, would not come to know him. Therefore, God decided to use the nonsense of what we proclaim as his means of saving those who come to trust in it. Precisely because Jews ask for signs and Greeks try to find wisdom, we go on proclaiming a Messiah executed on a stake, the cross, as a criminal. To Jews, this is an obstacle, and to Greeks, it is nonsense. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, this same Messiah is God's power and God's wisdom. For God's nonsense is wiser than humanity's wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than humanity's strength. Just look at yourselves, brothers. Look at those whom God has called. Not many of you are wise by the world's standards. Not many wield power or boast noble birth. But God chose what the world considers nonsense in order to shame the wise. God chose what the world considers weak in order to shame the strong. And God chose what the world looks down on as common or regards as nothing in order to bring to nothing what the world considers important, so that no one should boast before God. It is his doing that you are united with the Messiah Yeshua, the Aleph and the Tav. He has become wisdom for us from God, and righteousness and holiness and redemption as well. Therefore, as the Tanakh says, let anyone who wants to boast about Yehovah. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Chokhmah, wisdom. Not man's self-exalting wisdom, but Yehovah's wisdom, revealed through the crucified Messiah. Tanakh spine. Isaiah 29 verse 14 and Jeremiah 9 verse 23. These references form the spine of Sha'ul's argument. Yehovah destroys the wisdom man trusts in and forbids boasting in what the flesh prizes. So in Corinth, eloquence, status, and party spirit are not small social flaws. They are symptoms of a deeper disorder. The cross restores right order to returning all glory to Yehovah. Chapter flow. Sha'ul opens as one called by the will of God and addresses the assembly as those sanctified in Messiah Yeshua, called to be holy with all who call upon his name. He gives thanks for the grace given to them, acknowledging that they have been made enriched in speech and knowledge, and are not lacking in gifts as they await the revealing of our Master. He then turns from gratitude to correction, pleading for unity of mind and judgment among them. Reports have revealed quarrels and party spirit, some attaching themselves to Sha'ul, some to Apollos, some to Kepha, some claiming Messiah in a divisive way. Sha'ul answers with force. Messiah is not divided, and the messenger must never replace the message. He minimizes every ground for personal allegiance to himself, making clear that baptism and ministry must not become fuel for personality cults. Then he states the burden plainly. He was sent to proclaim the good news, not to impress by rhetorical brilliance, lest the cross be emptied of its power. The word of the cross divides humanity. Foolishness to those who are perishing, power to those who are being saved. Isaiah is then brought forth as a witness. Yehovah destroys the wisdom of the wise. Sha'ul presses the matter. Where is the wise man, the scholar, the debater of this age? Yehovah has exposed worldly wisdom as folly. Jews seek signs and Greeks seek wisdom, but the emissaries proclaim Messiah crucified. To the called, this crucified Messiah is the power of God and the wisdom of God. Sha'ul reminds them to consider their own calling. Not many were wise, mighty, or noble by standards of this age. Yehovah chose the foolish, weak, low, and despised things to shame what the world exalts. The aim is decisive. No flesh should boast before him. Messiah has become to us wisdom from God, righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. Therefore, the chapter ends where the prophet pointed. Let the one who boasts boast in Yehovah. Division exposed, to cross preached, to wisdom shattered, to boasting silenced. Core theme. Sha'ul is not merely trying to calm an argumentative church, he is exposing a deeper corruption. The Corinthians are thinking according to the flesh. They are measured men by eloquence, influence, and visible impressiveness, while the cross stands before them as Yehovah's judgment on that entire system. The cross is not an ornament added to human greatness. It is Yehovah's overthrow of it. It declares that man cannot ascend by intellect, strength, pedigree, or performance. He must be brought low and remain through the Messiah, whom the world despises. That is why Sha'ul refuses to build ministry on polished self-display. Once man becomes central, the cross may still be mentioned, but its force is drained out. This chapter also reveals Yehovah's pattern. He chooses what the world dismisses, so that glory returns to its rightful place. The assembly must therefore think covenantally, not carnally. We do not boast in the vessel, the teacher, the gift, or the tribe. We boast in Yehovah alone. How can we learn to love Yehovah with all our heart, soul, and strength? We can love Yehovah by refusing to boast in intellect, status, or gifting, and by giving him the glory for every true grace. Love Yehovah by receiving the cross as his wisdom, even when it crushes pride and strips away self-trust. Love Yehovah by letting his calling, not this age standards, govern how we think, judge, and live. How can we learn to love our neighbors as we love ourselves and as Yeshua loves us? Refuse factional speech that pulls hearts toward men instead of Messiah. Honor believers the world counts weak, low, and unimpressive. Speak so the cross is magnified, not your own knowledge or eloquence. How can we bear one another's burdens? Help one another resist comparison, envy, and party spirit. Strengthen those who feel small by reminding them Yehovah chooses the lowly. Call each other back to humility when gifts or leaders eclipse Messiah. What are the top 3 fruits of the Spirit found in this chapter? 1. Humility, anava. The chapter crushes boasting so no flesh glories before Yehovah. 3. Faithfulness, imunah. The assembly must stay loyal to Messiah, not divide around human vessels. 3. Discernment, binah. Sha'ul teaches us to distinguish worldly brilliance from the wisdom revealed in the cross. Mitzvah response. What is the mitzvah response, Torah-based? Deuteronomy 8, verses 17 and 18. Otherwise, you may stir in your heart, my own power and the strength of my own hand have gotten me this wealth. No, you are to remember Yehovah your God, because it is he who is giving you the power to get wealth, in order to confirm his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors, as is happening even today. Command. We will renounce self-exalting boastfulness and remember that every true strength and grace comes from Yehovah alone. What is the Hebrew declaration? Lo nit halal bi chol met Adam ki im bi Yehovah ha-Mashiach Hatzalov ho ko matenu u givutenu bu li voda nit parar. We will not boast in man's wisdom, but in Yehovah. The crucified Messiah is our wisdom and our strength. In him alone we will glory. What is the one-sentence summary? Boast only in Yehovah. The cross shatters human pride. Now, after having read the chapter and going over it, here are some heart-piercing questions. Where am I still tempted to boast in intellect, gifting, or influence? Another. How have I attached my loyalty too strongly to a human vessel? Another. Do I prefer a form of wisdom that avoids the offense of the cross? Another. How has Yehovah used weakness in my life to expose false confidence? Another. Do I honor believers the world would consider unimpressive? Another. In what ways can our assembly reflect one mind under Messiah? Lastly, what would it look like today for me to boast in Yehovah alone? We'll end this Friday night Shabbat with the Arianic blessing using the name. Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards your bringing order, and he'll provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you, set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shabbat shalom, shalom, shalom.